Hi, good to see you again. And I'm glad that you're tapping your finger on these meditations and watching those, because if you weren't, we wouldn't be doing this. So I'm glad that you're here today as we think about the Bible, as we think about Jesus in our life, as we think about how Jesus might be calling us personally or collectively as a church. But before we get into the meditation, just quickly, this coming Sunday is our pork dinner, right? And we hope that you've already signed up to be a part of it, that you can help us either in your cooking or downstairs in the dining room. We do need your help in order to make this a success. So please be a part of it, and if you can't be a part of it, please eat the meal. We look forward to seeing you. So we've been in the Gospel of Mark for some time. And Jesus has been on this way to Jerusalem, on this way to the cross, and on this way Jesus is teaching his disciples. And now we come to the end of that journey. Today in the Gospel of Mark, we're at the end of chapter 10. And we have the story of blind Bartimaeus. This is the last action before Jesus enters Jerusalem. And you may remember the story, or you can look it up again. It's chapter 10 in Mark at the end. Bartimaeus is a blind beggar sitting on the street corner in the gutter, crying for Jesus. Lord, have mercy on me. And then at one point, Jesus calls him forward. What's interesting to note here, as we reread where we've been in Mark, it was back in chapter 8 where we began this journey with Jesus and the disciples to Jerusalem. Back in chapter 8 where we began this journey of teaching, of Jesus trying to tell the disciples who he is. Okay? So at the beginning of that journey, we have a story of a blind person. At the end of this journey, another story of a blind person, where Jesus gives them both sight. I don't think Mark does that by accident. Right? He's bracketing this teaching with people who actually see. Right? He's bracketing this journey by people who actually know who Jesus is, who understand his identity, who really see Jesus for who he is. Because we read along the way, the disciples aren't getting it, right? We have all of these questions about, make me put one of us on your right hand, one of us on your left hand, all of those kind of things that show misunderstanding, but it's the blind people that actually are getting it. Mostly we call this a healing story, where Jesus is healing Bartimaeus so he sees again. Right? He saw once and now he sees again. But if you read it carefully, you will see that the Bartimaeus story is a story of call. Bartimaeus sitting on the curb in his beggar's cloak, surrounded by everything he owns. And Jesus says, call him forward. And the crowd says, go, for he has called you. And what does Bartimaeus do but lets go of the cloak and leaves it there? He leaves behind his life. He leaves behind what he knows for something new. It's just like the story at the beginning of Mark, when Jesus calls the fishermen and they leave their nets behind. They left their old lives behind for something new. We can't always take who we are or what we have forward in the life of Jesus. We'd like to, right? We'd like to just remain the same and go forward as a disciple of Jesus, but to be a follower, things have to change. Sometimes it's the way that we look at the world, how we interact with the world, how we understand the world. Sometimes that has to change. Sometimes we leave our own possessions behind. As pastors, in following our call, we leave our homes behind. We're always moving and going forward. But it's in that change where we find a deeper relationship with God. It's in that transformation, that rethinking, that re-seeing, that re-hearing, where we will find ourselves with Jesus at the cross, and we will know salvation for what it is. So as you listen for Jesus calling in your life right now, what might it be that Jesus is asking you to leave behind? What of your old life needs to go? What of a new life do you need? Good to be with you. We'll see you next time.